Welcome to Bedford. We're here with Russell Deeren. He's an at-large counselor. We're doing these interviews throughout today and tomorrow. Tomorrow's the final day we'll do these. So we're just going to get right into it. So tell me why you're running, Russell.
I'm running because I see a bunch of counselors pandering to their constituents and not getting a lot done at the meetings. I want to make changes in the city. I don't want to keep the same things going every year, and I don't see it changing without new people. So that's why I'm running.
Do you have any family, married, kids, girlfriend, anything
No,
like
thank God, no.
that? So you're a single guy in the city?
Yeah,
Do you own, you live in the city how long?
a year.
Year now?
A year, a little longer.
So what do you define the role of the city councilor? What do you define it as?
The city councilor, they are your representation of your ward. They are your representation at City Hall. They make sure the mayor is correct. They approve the mayor's decisions. They approve the people that he decides to appoint. And that's about my take on it.
Okay. If you get elected, you make it through this round, you make it through November. What's your number one priority in 2020?
My number one priority, I bet you think it's rainbow crosswalks, but it's not. My number one priority, I want to get tough on crime. I want to pick up the arrests. I want to pick up how many people we keep behind bars. I want to get tough on crime.
Okay. Do you think, you always hear crime is down and it gets sometimes mocked on the internet. Do you think it's down over the last couple of years, or it's just kind of numbers being...
No, not at all. I know people are having stuff happen to them and not making the paper. I see it firsthand driving around. I see people attacking each other, and it doesn't. I look in the newspapers like, how come that wasn't in there? I just saw some guy beating the crap out of another guy. So no, crime's not down.
Okay, so on crime, if you get elected office into that large, what would be your public safety plan? How would you improve it?
I think we need more jail cells. I think we're letting people out with no bail because you don't have anywhere to put them. I think we need to have a holding facility. I know it's not popular. People don't like to take their freedom away, but it's the biggest deterrent to committing crimes is I'm going to get my freedom taken away if I get caught.
So you think Ash Street Jail is not enough? You need something bigger?
Yeah, absolutely. Ash Street Jail is the oldest working prison in America, and it's still our only prison in New Bedford.
So economic development, obviously important in a city like New Bedford. New Bedford residents on average make half the state average of Massachusetts. Massachusetts is like 65,000, New Bedford residents like 33,000. Is there a way to bring higher paid jobs into the city of New Bedford?
I don't know if we can bring higher paid jobs, but we certainly can bring jobs to the city. First thing is we have to be more welcoming to people who want to come to the city. We can't give them a list of demands that you have to live up to open up. We are not business friendly at all. I would like to improve that. If any of my constituents have a problem at City Hall, call me up. I'll walk in there. I'll get it done. I know the red tape, and I will help cut through it.
All right, so you have any questions for Russell, throw them into the comments, and we'll throw them out there.
Yay.
So you brought it up, I didn't. So the rainbow crosswalks, what's that? I know you're on social media. What's the big deal with that
Rainbow
online?
crosswalks is a cost-effective way to help a section of the community. But I'm done with rainbow crosswalks. The LGBT community didn't reach out. They weren't responding. So I still think the crosswalks are cost-effective, but more for the kids.
Okay. So I ask this for each candidate, kind of the philosophy behind addiction. So is it a disease or is it a choice?
Choice. Final answer.
Yeah? So you can't expand on that a little bit?
Oh, no, it's not my final answer, but I don't need to think about it, definitely. Choice.
Okay. What kind of resources would you provide to the city that's not already there to help fight addiction?
I think we need mandatory detox. I think we need to have holding cells, and some of them have to be for detox. And we can't just keep giving people passes to the methadone clinic to get you a little cup. We have to get tougher on these people, or they're never going to clean their act up.
So Baker had proposed like a hold, like a 24 to 72-hour hold. The state legislators went against that, so there's no hold. Would you advocate to work with the state legislators for a hold?
Yeah, obviously, I'm pro hold. Like 72 hours sounds good to me.
Okay. Besides that, like what kind of resources though would you look at providing, say, the city of New Bedford that may not be there right now?
I think we need more than just state-funded nonprofits. I think some of the for-profit or no, whatever they are, like the House of Hope, has got the right approach. They're not refusing people. They're out there making people work in the community for staying at their shelter and eating their food, and we need to do more of that.
Okay. Marijuana, so New Bedford's kind of like the last city potentially to get it. If we do get it, it'll be next year sometime. What's your view? Have we moved too fast, too slow?
Yeah, we missed the boat on marijuana. I think once they approve delivery services and we have weed maps, and anybody can, not anybody, but any of these dispensaries can just pay $500 for their spot on weed maps, and they're just going to flood it in this area. This is going to be the Wareham one, the Fall River one. They're all going to be delivering weed in New Bedford. And the people who just got these licenses, they're not as valuable as you think.
So what would you have done differently?
I would have tried to jump on board immediately because New Bedford needs revenue, and we shouldn't not take something because a few people think it leads to harder drugs, which half the city's doing anyways.
So on that, would you be for like needle exchanges or even, no, absolutely not?
Nah, I'm not for the needle exchange. I think that's pandering to them.
So the city has put a cap on the licenses of marijuana. I think it's at 8 now. Would you put a cap on or just leave it wide open?
Opening up the zoning is way more important than the number of dispensaries. I think that if you put them all over the community, not just everything in the North End. I don't want to go to the North End to get marijuana. I would like to come downtown or the South End. It's not fair to the people in the South End who don't have dispensary.
Because from my understanding, they've put a cap is based on 20% of your liquor licenses. Would you say just go ahead and have equal amount more than liquor licenses?
We're going to give as many marijuana licenses as liquor licenses? There's like 400 liquor licenses in New Bedford.
New Bedford? I don't think there's 400.
It's hundreds.
Okay.
I've gone to the licensing board, and there's a lot. But I'm not for capping marijuana. I think if we can bring jobs to the city, and whether they're baking it or they're selling it or they're whatever they're doing, any marijuana is good for me.
So have you been attending some of the city council meetings then?
Yeah, I go to some just to get up to speed on how they work if I do get elected, and I don't look like I have no clue what I'm doing up there.
So what do you think of the residency waivers that they give out?
Oh, that's terrible. I think, if anything, they need to look harder to hire people in New Bedford. And I'm not for you live here 3 years and then you move. You should, if you get hired in New Bedford, you should live in New Bedford.
Big topic always, especially if you own a home in the city, is property taxes. Are you happy with the rate now? Would you find solutions to reduce it?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if anyone else is talking about it. I'm for incorporating multifamily homes into the commercial tax rate. We only have 1,800 commercial properties. We have 25,000 residential properties. By moving these multifamily homes owned by LLCs and corporations that never even come to New Bedford, and we're charging them residential rates is ridiculous, and we're losing out on plenty of revenue.
Okay. So last year the city council kind of came up with, we reduced your rate, but the average homeowner went up $220, right? So is there a way you think so you're talking, because I think the business rate didn't really go up. I think it was $20 per business, but the property for residential went up $220. So you're saying move some of those residential into the business?
Start with the largest multifamily homes that are owned by these corporations that never come to New Bedford, and go from there. I'm not saying this young guy who bought a 3-family home also has to pay commercial tax. No, if you live there, if you're a resident of this city, Your taxes are going to go down, not up.
So if you're you could buy a 3-family, you actually live in the complex and you rent to the other 2, then you would get the
Residential rate.
residential. But if you live in Duxbury and you own a multifamily and you're renting completely out,
And
then you would get
you're
business.
making money, you should be paying commercial rates.
Okay, fair enough. Big thing always on social media is the potholes, right? So I think the city of New Bedford filled 10,000 last year. Is there a solution to this, or you just keep kind of filling the potholes as is?
We need to generate more revenue to have a bigger pothole filling force. I know we're not going to spend millions of dollars repaving these roads. People should forget about that notion. It's not going to happen. You can just put more money aside for fixing roads every year. That's the best we can do.
Public housing. So there's thousands of families on a wait list in New Bedford for public housing. Would you be for the status quo, increasing, decreasing? And obviously the state runs, the funds and that kind of thing, but would you advocate with the state legislators to add more, reduce, or stay the same?
I don't want to add more. If anything, we need to stop taking on other towns' low-income housing and getting paid a little measly bit for it. I'm not for adding low-income housing, no.
Panhandling. So panhandling is a big issue in the city. Pretty much every intersection you drive into, there's a panhandler. The solution so far for the city council has been to put signs above their head. The mayor's office put spiked cobblestones. Is there something different you would do?
I think the people who are giving them money need to stop giving them money. That's our problem. And if we have to shame these people who are giving them money, I'll do it. I'm not against it. We need to stop giving them money. You can't have drug addicts hanging out in the middle of the median and you give them money because you feel bad, and it just goes on forever. It's not going to help tourism.
So just tell me, so what are some of your other big issues?
My other big issues. I didn't bring any notes because I've been so disappointed with the lack of exposure that new candidates get. Thank you that you are helping, but no one's reached out. There's no one trying to help me get elected. I'm running to help the city, but no one wants to help someone who's going to help the city. They want to keep the same people in over and over again. And unless I spend a bunch of money in advertising and buy a bunch of signs, I'm not going to put a bunch of effort into this election.
So expand on that. So what do you mean no one's really helping you out?
WBSM will not give you any exposure whatsoever unless you pay for it.
So you don't get a Q&A with a candidate? Kind of like this?
There's nothing. There's no options whatsoever. It's just give them $2,000 and they'll run your ad 4 times a day for a couple weeks. And
South Coast Today, didn't they do a
South Coast
write-up?
Today, yeah, they did a nice write-up. And Buddy Andrade had a thing that not many people went to.
Yeah, I noticed. So how was that? Talk to about that. You get a chance to finally sit, shoulder to shoulder with some of the candidates. What was your experience with that?
I want to do more of it. I wish we would be debating. I wish you would put on a debate, or somebody else, anyone listening, put on a debate. I'll show up, no matter who it is. I'll debate anybody.
Yeah, the idea is after the October 1st, we're going to do 5 twice. So it'll be 10 next round. So we'll bring 3 of the incumbents with 2 new people, and then 2 of the incumbents with 3. So we're definitely going to host that. But yeah, I think it's kind of incumbent on the candidates to get out on social media, door to door. How's the door to door been treating you? Have you had a chance to knock on a lot of doors?
I've gone to 0 doors. I have autism. People with autism don't go out looking for conversations with people. I was really looking more for the social media, to reach people on social media, get exposure that way. That's why I'm kind of more out there than most people.
Well, so how has that been treating you? It's kind of been, I think you've had some conflicts online
I don't know
potentially.
if 1,000 people know who I am or 50,000 people know who I am. That's the problem with social media.
So how have you leveraged social media so far? I think you go, in the Facebook groups, start conversations?
I only go on 3 different groups, and I don't post to my own page, at least definitely not anything political. And I really thought people wanted new people to run for office and get elected and not just have the same people in there for 30 years. I thought they would be more warm to someone new.
Yeah, I think apathy in the city I've written articles on the apathy in the city. People, no snitching is big in the city. Not really running for office is a big thing in the city, and even voter turnout. You see apathy as kind of
I
is
think
that a
they're
big
just
issue?
giving up. If the same people get in every year, Mitchell's running for his 5th time, Gomes isn't even saying whether or not he's running, that's his biggest competition, and that's our election season. We got three ward councilors running unopposed. We barely are having a primary for the at-large. There's just not interest.
Yeah, I've seen I think we almost had 12, right, with Steve Martin. Do you have an opinion on kind of people pulling papers and then not running, or pulling papers from multiple wards and running?
I think the people who pull papers and have never run for office again and just got scared, I have more respect for them. Like Steve Martin's like, let's see how popular I am. Let's pull some papers and see how quickly I can get signatures. And everyone just pat me on the back and said, we want you back. And then he bailed, and he looks terrible. And he's got a war chest that he's probably going to have to give away because he's not going to run again.
Okay, so you're online, and that's the main way you're going to talk to people. So how people can find you, social media. Do you have a website?
Absolutely not. I'm not technically savvy when it comes to computers. You can hit me up on Facebook if you like, Russell Deering.
So you just have a user account? Or do you have like a campaign page?
No, I'm not into the campaign page, and I'm not up to date with that. I don't have anyone volunteering to make me a campaign page, so there's not going to be a campaign page. I'm not going to put money into this, and if I were, I would invest with you. I would buy ads on New Bedford Guide. I would never, ever, ever give my money to WBSN.
So we have a little more time. I don't want to just end it. So let's just talk other things. So you said you've been in the city for a year?
Yeah.
So what's your experience with New Bedford so far, outside of politics?
I've followed politics from a distance. Like, my grandfather was big into politics. He and my grandmother were in the Friends of Buttonwood Park. I started a thing called Yoga in the Park with my grandfather in 2008. It got a huge turnout, and then I had to move it to Fairhaven because the city wanted me to spend $1,000 for insurance bond in case people got hurt doing yoga. So rather than pander to them, I went to Fairhaven, went in front of the council, they approved me, I added another program, and it's still running there today.
Is that the one with Jeff Costa and
Yes.
the folks? Okay.
So
We've covered that a few times.
If New Bedford would have just been welcoming to me, I would have kept it here, I would have done more things in New Bedford, more and more and more, but they kind of just pushed me out of New Bedford, I never came back.
Okay. So where were you before New Bedford?
Before I was living in California.
Okay. So have you
I did like 6 years in California.
anything they do out there better that you could bring to the
Yeah,
city?
like the yoga in the park, that wasn't like some idea I had. I don't love
Yep.
yoga. They did yoga in Runyon Canyon, and they called it yoga in the park. So I was like, that's a good idea. So when I came back to Massachusetts, my grandfather is big into the community. So I'm like, I'll do something with you if you take care of the advertising, and I'll pay for the program. And I did. It was easy. I would have done it a bunch of more times. Obviously, people copied it because there's yoga with goats and stuff. It's just blew up.
Yeah, it's like a trendy yoga out there, right? So you do yoga yourself?
No, never. I did it just because it's a cost-effective way to help people in the community. And that's what I like to do, is find cost-effective solutions. I'm fixated on efficiency. I'm not long-winded. I don't need to hear myself speak. I like to be direct, and you're going to remember what I say more than most of the councilors, I bet.
Okay, so like the main way the city council gets stuff done is through motions, right? So do you have any motions that you have kind of your work that you're writing now, or you have ideas for in the beginning stages?
I wish I had seen this question someone else had gotten, because then I would have.
So I'm just kind of, because I want you to have as much time as possible,
Yeah,
so
I'm just
kind
trying
of
to think
throwing
any
some new ones.
motions. Like, obviously, I'm big on the crosswalks and let represent the community any way you want on the ground rather than on the walls. Keep painting the wall, then paint it white, then paint a new mural. I'd rather you brighten up the city with the crosswalks. I think that would be an easy motion to get passed.
Yeah, I think I commented on your post on the crosswalks. I'm like, at least some of the people driving around here will actually see them, because I think you risk your life crossing some of these crosswalks if you wait for the car to stop. So it's pretty, you think the crosswalks need to be maybe police sitting there or even like brightened up with white, if not the rainbow?
The crosswalks being painted isn't an original idea either. It's all over California. Everywhere you go, there's different crosswalks, and you notice it. You look at the ground, the cars driving by, notice it. It's helpful. It's nice. It makes the place look better. What I'm really big on is trimming the trees, though. I just thought of that. The city, that's all their trees grow, and they don't trim them whatsoever. So the easiest way to make our park in our city look better is to start taking care of our trees. Our arborist needs more help. We need to take care of our trees, and our city will look better, and people will appreciate living here.
Yeah, that's interesting. How about Fort Tabor? You think it's utilized pretty well?
I think Fort Tabor looks wonderful. If I'm going to go for a walk, that's where I go. I'll go to Fort Tabor. I love what they do at Fort Tabor.
So you think the parks like Buttonwood, Hazelwood, Fort Tabor, you think they're well enough, or is there ways we can
If
improve
you
on
go to
this?
Haskell Gardens, they trim their trees. Like, if we would just do the whole city like Haskell Garden does and take all the undergrowth away so you can see the trunk of the tree, and then your top grows better. If you, like, coming down Court Street, I could make that a canopy. If you trim off the undergrowth, you trim the right side of the tree, it'll grow to the center over the road, and it'll look like Harry Potter movie.
So it sounds like you're not knocking doors. How about signs? Someone's saying they don't see your name anywhere.
I have signs. I don't know anyone to put in their yard. I got 50 signs. Anyone want a sign, hit me up. I'll bring you one.
All right, so you hear that? If you want a sign, you like what Russell's saying, put it on your, you say you got 50 of them?
Yeah.
So he's got 50 signs.
And the thing a lot of people don't understand is I have autism. Like, I'm not like everyone else. I don't want attention. There's a huge misconception that I'm trying to get under people's skin for attention. That's not at all. I like to tell people things they don't want to hear. That's what I do. And I like to tell them things that are true that they don't want to hear.
So tell me that, because I don't know a lot about autism. Do you think that benefits you? Is it negative for you?
Getting signatures was rough. That was the hardest thing I've done in a long time, and it took me 2 weeks of decompressing to just be like, that's over. I'd rather go to jail than do 2 weeks of trying to get signatures. That was ridiculous. That was difficult for me.
How about some of the positives you think that autism might bring to the table? You think outside the box, maybe, those kind of
I'm
things?
hyper-focused. It's not so much I'm outside the box or I have a mega memory. I'm fixated on efficiency, and I'm hyper-focused. So you might see me fixing something that you don't even think needs fixing, but if I can do it quickly, I'm going to do it. And you'll be like, let's go, let's go, let's go. I'm like, why? I can fix this right now, and it's going to be done. It's going to be perfect. And people don't really understand me too well.
All right, so the best way to find you, Russell Deering on Facebook, send you a message.
Sure.
That's the best way. Talk to you. Okay, so Russell Deering, running for at-large. Get out and vote October 1st. If you like Russell, give him a vote. He moves on. You got November 5th. Make sure everyone goes out and votes. Thanks for coming in.
Great, thanks.